Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 11 of the Pocket Podcast. We have just finished recording this episode, and hand on my heart, it was my favorite episode by far. Like, I am blown away with what we spoke about in this conversation, all things AI, but more importantly as well, I really wanted to make sure that I unpacked Chris Jeong's story, what makes it so special. And that's what I love about the Pocket. I really am trying to dive into people's life and, the different challenges that they go through. And in this episode, we really opened up about the different challenges that Chris had in his childhood. Chris Jeong, there's two Chris's on this podcast this week, but the challenges that he had and what has made him special, what got him into AI. But we also, more importantly, spoke about some really insane things that are happening in the world. We spoke about how AI is going to affect your relationships, online dating, the workforce, health and fitness, your mental health. We spoke about the way that it can play a role in immortality, existential crisis. There is so much in this episode, and I'm blown away. I didn't want it to end. I want a part two. And if you guys do really enjoy this episode, be sure to let me know and I'll get Chris back on the show for a part two. He's a business partner of mine and a really good friend. And I am blown away. And I think you guys will be too. So check into this episode, tune in, stick it out to the end if you want to be blown away and if you want to learn more about AI and the effects it's going to have in our lives and how we can stay on top to make sure that we are well equipped for the life that we have ahead of us. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this episode with Chris Jeong. Enjoy. Before we jump right into this episode, I want to take a minute to thank our sponsors of the podcast, Switch Nutrition. I take Switch Nutrition's products every single day, but there's two specifically I want to talk about on this episode. It is the Adrenal by Switch and the Hydrate by Switch. Now, the Hydrate I take every single morning with water to make sure that I'm fully equipped to attack the day's activities. The Hydrate formula that is in the Hydrate product at Switch is a combination of magnesium, sodium, and potassium, which are all essential to have when you're consuming your water. Water won't cut it. But another ingredient that is included in this supplement is coffee berry. Now, coffee berry is an amazing antioxidant and nootropic that is really good for brain function. So it's also a really good supplement to have when you have those afternoon slumps or you're just trying to attack the day and you need something without caffeine in your morning. And the second product is my absolute favorite. It is my baby. I've been taking it for years now, and it is the Adrenal. More specifically, the chocolate flavor. I'm going to advocate for the chocolate flavor because I love it so much. I have it in hot water with a little dash of milk every single night. It is like a hot chocolate before bed, but with so many benefits. The compound that you find in Adrenal is a combination of ashwagandha, zinc, and magnesium, which all help so much when it comes to winding down your body. The product was actually created for people that want to train later on in the afternoon, and it's not good for your body because it shocks your central nervous system. And this product was designed to help calm that central nervous system down so you can wind down and have a good night's sleep. Now, people started using it as a sleep formula, and that's when the product really started to take off. I use this product every single night before bed and I sleep like a baby. If you are interested in the Hydrate or the Adrenal by Switch Nutrition, be sure to use Chris Griffin at checkout when you go to switchnutrition.com.au and you will get 20% off everything on their website. Once again, that is switchnutrition.com.au. And if you use the code Chris Griffin, you'll get 20% off at checkout. So without further ado, let's get into the show. Chris, before the show, I got you to write down a quote for me, something that you love, something that comes to mind straight away. And it's funny, the quote you wrote is the one that is the screensaver on your phone. And I've seen it in my peripherals every day at the office, but you wrote, execute, execute, execute. Take the risk, take the gamble, take the first step, take action. Talk to me about that quote and what that means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a quote that really resonates with me right now at my points in life. I tend to be a bit of an overthinker. And so if I overthink, I'll procrastinate. And every time I look at my phone, it's a great reminder for me to actually just take the action no matter what. Because essentially also I'm a bit of a naturally more on the safer side of things. So I'd rather not take the risk. So it's a good reminder for me to be the opposite of what my natural, my natural position.
Yeah. So overthinker, talk to me about that a little bit, because a lot of us are overthinkers, some more than others. And then you said, obviously, I feel like overthinking and not taking risk goes hand in hand as well, because you kind of overthink the risk and then it is perceived as even a bigger risk in your head because you're overthinking it.
Yeah.
Has that had troubles in your life with overthinking?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, heaps. And you get like analysis paralysis as well. I know I do a lot. And so for me, I grew up without much of a safety net, and we might cover up on this as well. So at certain points in my life, especially in my formative years, a slight misstep here or there could lead to some pretty nasty consequences. And so without having that safety net, my natural inclination has always been to just think it through a couple of times. But what I tend to do is, like many people I'm sure as well, is just procrastinate and think, okay, well, if I do this, then this will happen. And then if that happens, what will happen here? And I sort of plan it out 10 steps, 20 steps in advance, which is just not practical at all.
Well, that's really interesting. And what brought us here today is AI, but I, just from some of the stuff you're saying, I really want to go into that before we talk about some of the awesome topics that we have in mind. But you mentioned there was things in your upbringing and in your life that would result in you, like it could be really serious consequences and serious things by doing so. What were some of those things?
Yeah, great question. Essentially, when I was growing up, my parents split up when I was 10. And the crazy thing about this is my parents split up when I was 10, and we had a nice property here on the Gold Coast, and my dad left my mum. And so my mum, for the longest period of time, as long as she could, try to keep the house, which was pivotal. It was her life savings. Unfortunately, she lost that battle. And so essentially what happened there is we had to put the house on the market, and we had to consider a move from the Gold Coast up to a country town, which is where my stepdad was at the time. So what happened there, though, is we sold the house in record time. Now, at the time, I remember actually my mum was like, wow, this is amazing. We sold the house in like less than 12 hours. It sold for something around $220,000 or thereabouts.
What year was this?
Would have been about 15 years ago. So what's that? No, actually, no. When I was 10, 25 years ago. Wow. Despite my appearance, I'm not good at quick maths, clearly. So yeah, what 25 years ago, actually, which is crazy. So in the 90s, it would have been in the 90s. And so it sold for, 220 or thereabouts in record time. And I remember about 6 months later, we found out from some friends, 3 months after that, the house sold again for $600 and something thousand. So it tripled in value in a few months' time. And so that was a big gut punch for my mum, obviously. And
was it because the house was sold prematurely or too cheap?
No, it was the property boom. There was a big property boom back in the time. And again, I'm not great with my concept of time, but yeah, sometime in the 90s, the timing was wrong. And so someone knew, obviously, that or I assume they knew that there was a boom coming, and they bought it real quick. And 3 months later, it tripled. And so, from there, that essentially left, my mum and by extension with myself, like with nothing, right? So, didn't really get anything from the house sale there, obviously. And so fast forward from there, moved up into a country town, and, country town was great, but everyone already knew each other. So I was always like the outsider. And then also from there, the stepdad was great to begin with, and then over time developed some pretty nasty habits. And so essentially if I and also mum wasn't on her best behavior, things would work out pretty badly. And from there, most people have a solid family unit where there's like, okay, if something goes wrong, then they can always go back to that family unit and they can look after them. I'm not in that situation. And so, and again, it probably forms a bit of the work ethic as well, in terms of why I'm working so hard to make sure mum doesn't have to work, to make sure that, I'm covered, she's covered, and going from there too. So yeah, it's from that early age, that was a very, very pivotal thing for me. Like, it's basically, we had a position where we were very, very comfortable, we're very solidly middle class,
So
not
your
rich.
dad was making okay money at the time.
Yeah, he was making okay money, but mum also as well. So both of them combined, like with two incomes, it's always a lot easier to live, obviously. But then when one income goes, it was very, very tough.
And where did your dad go?
So at the time, I actually don't know. So somewhere around the Gold Coast.
Right?
Yeah, I was 10. Yeah. And so from that point on, he never really had much for, we'd catch up every now and then, but not much of an impact. And like right now, I don't know where he is, but by my choice, he does try to reach out to his credit, but I'm just not ready for that yet. It's like, you walk out and essentially don't really want to have any sort of not much to do with me as well. And so then I'm like, well, I'm not ready for any contact.
Why do you feel like you're not ready? And do you think being not ready and not wanting to put yourself in a position of spending time with your dad, do you think that carries weight around with you?
Yeah, less so now. It has in the past. So I've done a lot of work. So Rick with the Vision Quest, also another lady, Olga Rickards as well. A lot of work with them like on the mental health and the mindsets, but it did used to carry a lot of weight. Essentially, I did hold on to a lot of resentment because it not only did it drastically change my life, but also I've watched my mum struggle as well. Like, so, throughout the years, without getting into too much detail, it wasn't a very happy situation with a stepdad after a while. And we actually ended up having to, so I got kicked out of home early. And
how old?
I think 16, 17, thereabouts. So literally just booted out. And then obviously that was like not good for mum. She's like, no, that's...
From your mum or your stepdad?
No, from the stepdad. And so she's like, that's just complete rubbish. But there's a lot of intimidation. So what ended up happening shortly after that, basically, he worked in the mines. So at the time when he was away, mum sort of made an escape and, we got all that sorted out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty hectic. And look, I won't go into details. Obviously, this is, a conversation that's going out there pretty publicly with things, but there was some pretty hectic things that went on there. And so, and that's sort of your formative years, right? In terms of, being a young adult, especially as a man, you want to sort of provide and look after and, I think I was forced to grow up a little bit earlier than a lot of kids, I guess, if you're in a situation with two stable parents. And so, so from that, knowing that there's no safety net, knowing that, there's a lot on the line, because the other thing too, by the way, how I got my start, my mum had to fight my dad to get child support, which was pretty rough. But what she did with that child support, which I didn't know at the time, is she saved every cent. And so when I was 16, when I got kicked out, she's like, okay, great. Here's this deposit. She wasn't planning on doing it at the time, but here's this amount of money. Let's use that as a deposit to buy a house. So during that whole time, she was working hard, paying for all the bills, doing everything to support, obviously, myself and herself. So she'd sort of thrown everything into me. And so that's left her a little bit vulnerable now, which is why I'm very, very I need to look after myself and also my mum too. And there's no safety net behind it. So,
wow.
Yeah, there's a bit on the line, So, yeah.
Chris.
And that's why I know.
You guys have to understand that we work in the office every single day. We're in business together, and I don't know any of this. And Sam probably doesn't know any of this either.
Look, I'm a very quiet and private guy.
I really appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's I know when we were talking, you want to make this very personal and get to know the guys or get to know the guests, and so yeah, I'm much more comfortable talking about other people and what's happening in your life and what's going on with you rather than talking about what's going on in my life. So yeah,
and I think what's so powerful about us diving into that straight away and getting the listeners to have an understanding on who you are is now when we talk about stuff in business, when we speak about all of these AIs, to give you guys a little bit of a teaser of what's to come, we're going to be talking about how AI is going to affect your relationships, online dating, the workforce, health and fitness, business, mental health, immortality, existential crisis. There's some really exciting things we're diving into. But what all this ties down to when we're talking about this and your education and knowledge on this is your insane work ethic and your obsession of learning all these new things and being at the head of the pack when it comes into things like this. And now people are going to have context on where you've come from. So it's not just some random guy on their screen.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
So I really appreciate you sharing that. And honestly, that's a highlight for me. Just if we left this today, I'm like, holy shit, I've learned a lot more about Chris and I have so much more respect. Because I think when I look into this, it's like these challenges and these hard times are the thing that slingshot us forward. It's the driving point. You're trying to look after not only you, because you don't want to have a life like certain other people in your family have unfortunately had to go through, but your mum as well. Absolutely. On the line. Are you an only child?
Yeah, I'm an only child as well. Yeah, so there's no one else.
Just you and her?
Yeah, just me and her. Yeah, exactly.
And is she around the Gold Coast
Yeah,
still?
she's on the Gold Coast. We catch up every week and multiple times. Yeah, she's amazing. So I've got nothing but great words and sentiment and love for my mum and vice versa, obviously. And yeah, look, the unfortunate thing is that I believe my story, is not unique. It happens to so many people out there now. I think it's 50% of relationships or marriages break up, and as bad as it is or was for my side of things, there's people who have it way worse. I at least had my mum who was supportive the whole way through. So there was always at least one person, who was able to sort of support and guide. A lot of people don't have that. And so I don't know if we'll cover it or not, but I do some volunteering with the animals as well, a dog shelter. And it's a lot of that's because of that whole element of they have no choice, but at least, and they don't know what's going on. You can't tell them, hey, we're going to find you a new home soon. They just get ripped out of their family and their situation. And so I'm very, very mindful of, there's always someone who's got it better and there's always someone who's got it worse in your life.
Perspective, right?
Yeah, correct.
But it's also the same thing in your life is you have bad days and you have good days, but the polarity between the two is what make each other what they are.
Absolutely.
Or else everything would just be normal.
Definitely. And there's a saying as well that like men are made through adversity. And so like, even though it was tough, I'm so thankful to have gone through all that because it's made me who I am today. Without having that struggle, I wouldn't have that work ethic as an example, or I wouldn't have that drive to succeed and seek out new knowledge. There's also people talk about it all the time that, comfort is the enemy of greats, or good is the enemy of greats, So I think, yes, as challenging as it was and is, I believe that, especially as men, it builds us, it builds our character.
The characteristics that are attractive in a man are all earned characteristics. Yes. So getting slammed on your face is the thing. It's the price tag on top of that skill set or that characteristics that you build.
Exactly.
It's so fascinating. I want to go back to what you're talking about in this quote because you said execute, 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 take the risk, take the gamble, take the first step, take action. Now, like that's strict and Jocko, as you said, that's Jocko saying that.
Jocko.
We love Jocko. But what you said is overthinking and like indecisive, not being able to take that action. You put that on there because it goes against your natural instinct.
Correct. Yeah, correct. It's a daily reminder and multiple times per day I look at that. And look, my natural instinct is to sit back and think through and like we discussed, overthink. But I've found that anytime I've overthought, well, obviously nothing happens, right? You don't get a result. Anytime that I've actually gone out and taken the action, even before I felt I was ready, that's when magic happens, And so, it's a massive reminder. And, there's a lot of Jocko quotes that I love as well. Like when he says good, that's another big pivotal one. So no matter what happens in your life, it's just good. Like for example, parents split up, good. Yep. Just started a successful business, good. Business is struggling, good. So there's a lot I've taken away from Jocko and I guess the stoic approach. And like there's a reason why Navy SEALs and the elite military professionals, are revered, and it's because they take action. And another way I think about it too is like with action movie heroes, they always just take action and they move. They never think it through. Like James Bond, right? He'll be on like a car chase or chasing the villain, and then the villain does one thing, and before fully thinking through what he's going to do, he has to take the action and suffer the consequences of that action and just keep on going. So sometimes he'll fall off a balcony, has to pick himself up and keep on running. And so just try to think those things through because it's so opposite to my natural state of mind.
Yeah. It's great. I could talk about this topic for so long. I love it. And I guess what's really fascinating about what brought us here today is obviously our connection. You're the co-founder of Early Bird, which is yourself and Sam Hope's business, my best friend Sam. But we talk about taking action and we talk about procrastination is a massive lesson you've learnt from your other two partners of Early Bird, Adam and Eric, about taking action and moving quick. Because when you actually think about it, how many days ago did you guys launch?
Yeah, so it's 60 something days we incorporated, and I think it was 57 or 58 days or thereabouts since we've got our first customer.
I remember you guys was refraining from meeting with your prospects because you didn't even have the bank account set up.
Correct.
That's how quickly you're moving.
Yeah.
Is that a lesson from Adam? Just when you're sitting in that room and you go, holy shit, like this has happened so quick and he does not fuck around in the slightest, that goes against your natural instinct. Oh, we'll sleep on it. No, sleep it on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's Adam and Eric as well. Like both of them are elite operators. As I'm sure you know, you had Eric on the podcast here as well. And yeah, they don't muck around. And the other thing too is, we only have a limited time with this opportunity, right? And so I have a deep sense of not fear, but paranoia of, look, the way the world is going, the gap, the ability to move up or down the financial ladder is closing, and especially with AI, which is what we're going to discuss as well. So I'm very, very motivated, not only by Adam, Eric, and Sam as well, who's also a very good hard charger, but it's also like if people knew what was coming with AI, I think you'd have to move with a bit more urgency because there is a lot coming that people have no idea of, and the ability to move up from the middle class to wealthy, or even from poor to middle class, that gap is closing. It's getting a lot more difficult. So.
And also that whole thing around the poor get poorer and the rich get richer, and that gap is getting wider. Is like the longer you wait and you don't adapt and you don't catch the wave, like you're either going further up or you're going further down.
Yeah, the middle class is disappearing.
Lose jobs, you need to upskill to be out, because all of the basic skills are going to be replaced.
Yes.
And so there's so many different by machinery.
And that's the thing. So like it's proven now the middle class is disappearing. Most of them are moving from middle class to poor, which is unfortunate, but some are moving to the wealthy. But when the AI comes into play, as you've just discussed, if you lose your job here, in the past you could go get a new job elsewhere. Now AI is going to be replacing all the low level and the mid level jobs, so that people are going to be left with nothing to do. And it's simultaneously exciting and terrifying at the same time.
What threat does that have on the world then? Homelessness?
Yeah. Homelessness, I think the biggest one is going to be lack of purpose and meaning for human beings. So,
But how do they keep a roof over their head if they don't have a job?
Yeah, so there's a lot of discussions going around about a thing called universal basic income, which is basically every human being is going to be paid a basic income just so it exists. And so that'll give you enough to pay for the roof over your head, some basic food, and maybe some entertainment, and that's all you get.
In like low socioeconomic areas?
Everywhere.
Because how do they monitor that in terms of how much you get paid based on where you're living?
It's basically, so just say for example, like the country of Australia, every person is going to get this universal basic income, and maybe there'll be some exceptions for high net worth people or people who've got a lot of money behind them. But there's a guy, Michael Yang, who ran in the US presidential elections in 2016. He really pushed the UBI, Universal Basic Income agenda. For better or for worse, so essentially everyone in a country is going to get the same set of income regardless of where they're at, except for maybe some ultra high net worth people.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's going to be just enough.
Never heard of that before.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a shock. It's so fascinating. And do you think that money, especially going through those challenges with your family not having much, how much of a role do you think being, struggling to pay rent and keeping afloat, how much of a role do you think that plays on people's lives?
A lot. I can tell you from experience in the past, and obviously going through all that too, it's like the first and last thing you think of. When you go to sleep, it's the last thing you think of, and it's the first thing you think of in the middle of the day. And because you've always got that in the back of your mind, you've got that crushing pressure of, man, can I pay that bill? Or, this payment's going to be due coming up soon. It really influences everything that you do, and you have that scarcity mentality. And so I know myself, I control it now. Actually, I call it living between two worlds. And so I can, consciously go between the scarcity mentality when I need it, and then the abundance mentality when I need that as well. And so, look, knowing you've got financial pressure adds a lot of weight to your shoulders, and it means you just can't be yourself. It causes you to choose to do things you wouldn't necessarily want to do. You might have to work some extra hours at work, or go do something that you don't want to do for work just to get a paycheck as well. So it's pretty hectic.
Right. And just on that, with you mentioned obviously with your family and those challenges that you went through, when you look back at your upbringing or even just from your life to date, like, was there something that comes to mind that was probably the most pivotal moment in your life that changed the trajectory of your life?
For the better or for the worse?
Either or both.
Yeah. Well, I think that for the worst, it was definitely the parents breaking up when I
But
was
as
10.
Jocko says, good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good. It caused me. Well, one good thing I did love growing up in the country. Like you get to do boy stuff, out there.
Whereabouts?
So there's a town called Gympie. It's about
exactly
3 hours
where
north of.
Gympie is.
Yep. So I
Yep.
grew up halfway between Gympie and Tinken Bay in a suburb called Goomboorian, and so we had maybe 28 acres of land out there, and it was great.
Just you, your mum, and your stepdad.
Yep, correct.
That's it.
Yep, that's
School
it.
there?
Yeah, there's a school. So there was a school, a primary school with about 120 students, I think it was. And then, moving into town for high school, there's about 1,000 kids in the school there. But it was great because I got to say, especially as a guy, like, you get to ride motorbikes and push bikes and, do all sorts of farm things, dig bunkers and, all sorts of cool things like that. But yeah, that was definitely pivotal, I guess, for the worst there. For the better, when mum came to me with a deposit, that started off the journey of like property investing. So buying a house and then
So you guys ended up buying a house?
Yeah, yes, ended up buying a house, and throughout my, I guess, investment career, probably bought and sold close to 10 proproperties.
So you've sold that one?
Sold that one. Yep. So no longer hold that one. That was a little 2-bedroom house in Gympie, and yes, I no longer hold that one. But no, it kickstarted a good journey and learning, the art of negotiation, the value of assets, versus liabilities. Dove into a lot of Robert Kiyosaki's, teachings from Rich Dad, Poor Dad and beyond. But yeah, that was definitely pivotal. And another one actually would have been meeting Adam originally. And so I met Adam many, many years ago, and he was the one that kickstarted my journey into business and entrepreneurship. And from there, there's been a lot of ups and downs, but it set me on this direction and this path. So
it's so cool that someone like that, and even Sam said, obviously, the thing is like changing lives, one person being able to change lives, it's so powerful. I feel like I'm definitely really inspired to be in a position that way where someone says, yeah, you've changed my life, which is quite an amazing thing that he does for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's cool. And so I guess like being exposed to business in the first place is the up, and the thing that really helped change the trajectory. Probably the same with me, to be honest, not having grown up with too much either. But then equally, moving out into the farm. But then what I would suggest would be when you got kicked out.
Yes,
would have been a pretty hectic time for you.
Yeah, definitely. Thinking back, actually, there's been several points. And so like many of us, we grow, right? And every time we grow, you reach that upper limit of where you're up to. And then you're going to have some sort of breakthrough, which often is preceded by a breakdown, as I think Tony Robbins says. But yeah, getting kicked out of home was a big one. Forced me to grow up early. Another thing though was really interesting. So I've suffered like a big depression, probably 6 or 7 years ago. Essentially, I was at a summit with Adam. So I did the marketing for Adam and his business with the Amazon business. And so I was at a summit there, and I remember we went to dinner. I think it was midway through the summit or somewhere through. And there I was, at this dinner table, and surrounded by millionaires, multi-millionaires, and they're all having these discussions about what you're doing. You're going out in this boat, or you're traveling over here and doing this and doing that. And I remember anytime I was talking with them, they're like, "Oh, so what have you been doing?" I'm like, "I've been working. I've been working." And I just remember distinctly going, "Man, I need to spend more time having fun and actually living." You don't want to, come to the end of your journey, in life and realize that you've done nothing but work. So from there, I determined from that I need to go have some fun. And I've got a couple of mates of mine who are great guys, and they had this bungalow in Bali, and they were like, "Dude, come over here. Like, you've got free accommodation. Come over, spend time." So I said, "Yeah, I'm going to book the flight." And I booked the flights, and everything was arranged to go over. And I got to the point where I was meant to go, and I couldn't go. I ended up just freezing up, and I couldn't go. I didn't sort of feel like I deserved it, or whatever the situation was there. That was the trigger for the spiral down into a massive depression as well, which was, the whole feelings of self-worth and imposter syndrome, all that good stuff that comes up.
So how did you feel when you said no?
Well, this is the funny thing. I didn't even say no. I literally couldn't even tell them no. I just didn't show up, and I just stopped responding to phone calls. So it was
went radio silence.
Yeah, it went radio silent. Yeah, and it was a really interesting time looking back on it. At the time, obviously, it was terrible, but literally went radio silence for pretty much everything. And so During that time, it took me maybe 2 or 3 months to work through it. And, obviously severe depression, just complete overwhelming anxiety at the time. And like literally people would be calling, people would be knocking on the doors, but just couldn't handle anything.
So in reflection, what do you think the main things that were contributing to that depression? And then how did you get on the other side of that?
Yeah, it was
a lot of people are definitely listening now going, fuck, I'm in that right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, a lot of it was just the feelings of self-worth. Like I only felt good when I was working, when I felt valuable when I was working. When I wasn't working or when I was having fun or trying to have fun, I didn't feel valuable and I didn't feel like I was worthy of it. And so that's where a lot of the work with Rick and Olga as well have really helped out with me there. So, yeah.
Why do you not feel worth it though in reflection?
Yeah, I think, again, it goes back to the upbringing. So, having to grow up pretty quick and then, having some difficult things and challenges with a stepdad as well.
Sure.
Yep. So never feeling like I could be my true self when I was younger, because I always had to, be on my best behavior. And I remember just going back to it is that when he would leave for work, I know I could relax and be myself. But then, but then we'd hear the motorbike coming back, down around the corner, and then like, shit, I got to run around and change things around and put things back. Just to give you a couple of examples.
You didn't feel at home?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No, like just silly things like, he'd put a ban on like having ice cream or, if I would drink milk, he'd be like, you're having too much milk. And just also like there was a lot of nasty things that happened throughout the whole process. And that built up over time led me to always having like a facade, which I imagine most people have. It's like you put a mask on. And so then when that becomes that became my identity, when you take the mask off, there's not much behind it, and so that's what led me down that path of the depression and the spiral down, is realizing below that mask of work and business and whatever else, there was nothing much behind it. It was pretty challenging.
And you still work insane hours now. Do you struggle to switch off, and do you still struggle in those social environments? Because I see you work 16-hour days, non-stop, sleepless nights.
Yeah. Do
you still struggle in those social times?
Sometimes, yeah. Look, I'm a natural introvert, and so like I can go out there and socialize, but then my battery drains down low, and I'm like, okay, that's it, guys. I need to get home.
And you do a bloody good job of it too.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
You just could talk to anyone for ages.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can put it on for a while, but it's not my natural state. Like I would love nothing more than just to be at home, just relaxing, reading a book, for the most part. So yes, at times, I think I do struggle with that to a degree, but it's a lot better. It's not really an issue. So the other thing too, I'll know my boundaries and my limits. So I won't try to push the boundaries and limits. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, cool. It's just so fascinating because when you do tie in this obsession to work, and when you're chasing something, you're like I'm doing this for me, my mum, like there's such a massive reason as to why I'm trying to achieve this greatness. And then you have this scared thing of, it could all go, I could be too late. So your mind would just be constantly just do.
Welcome to the world of Chris. Yeah, and that's where the overthinking can come in, so you overthink. I think it's good to have a bit of paranoia or a bit of that, scarcity, mentality. If things are too comfortable, then you sit back and you rest on your laurels. And the other thing too that contributes to this is, with my main business that I had prior to the early bird it was digital marketing. And so I was working with people all around the world. And so, it's very easy for people to just forget that there's a whole world of people out there who are working so damn hard. And, they're intelligent, they're driven, they're charismatic, they're all those things. And we forget that they're out there and they're competing, like, because we've got a global economy right now and global work and global business, they're competing for the exact same work that you're competing for as well. And so people forget that. And so that was always on the forefront of my mind as well.
I'm hearing like just perspective constant. I'm being reminded of that time and time again in this chat. Because it's like there's people doing worse. There's people doing more. There's people working harder.
Yep.
And so you kind of are just comparing yourself to what you actually know. And when you're in this little bubble, you don't really have that broadened perspective.
Exactly. And that's why like what I've had to learn to do is try to live between the two worlds, right? So it's like, yes, there's people working harder, and you have to I have to use that to drive the motivation and, the work ethic for me. But at the same time, you can't be overly hard on yourself, because then you get to the point where it's not effective. And so even, I guess, even with everything that's going on out there in terms of like, competition, you can look at it and go, man, that's terrible. But also you can look at it and go, that's actually great, because it's going to drive me to work harder or do more and be smarter and be better as well. So living between two worlds is really, really important. And that comes up a lot through like digital marketing, or marketing in particular. So when you're marketing, you have to put yourself in the shoes of your target market, of your customer avatar. And then you have to think about life from their perspective, but also at the same time, you have to think about it from the perspective of the business or the product or service you're trying to market. And you have to try to, bounce between those two perspectives and, lead the target market where you want them to go. And so that mentality, I think, is really important, because I use it to drive myself, but also be kind to myself at the same time.
Yeah. I love this. I love this. And I really appreciate you sharing, because I know that's not easy. It's not first for you.
It's not my natural, yeah.
And like, this is like, to everyone that's listening to this right now, like, we're about to dive into some really juicy, exciting things. And as I said to you before the show, is like, no, I want it to be about you. I really want to unpack you. The Pocket's about really diving into the things that make people great. And I'm inspired by you, your work ethic, and your knowledge on this topic that even is the glue between us right now, that joined us together in AI and the projects we're working on. And have a bit of context on the person that's sitting in front of me is really powerful for me, but also the audience. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's dive into some AI. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Oh, this is so exciting. I am so excited to talk about some of this stuff. So guys, for everyone tuning in, Chris Jeong is my partner in a new business that I'm launching, which, we're launching, should be in the next few weeks. So it's really exciting where we're getting at with that. It's in the health and fitness industry, so stay tuned for that. But what we're going to do on this section of the podcast is we're going to do a bit of a speed round of AI topics and how they're going to influence at the life. So how AI is going to influence the key areas of our life. And I'm going to see how quickly we can, or how many of these we can go through. And then to finish off the episode off the back of that, we're going to go through some pretty insane tools. So be sure to stick around. Things that are going to be able to replicate your voice. I mean, I don't know if there's other ones that you just want to, we've got different, bots that you might be mistaken for already. What are some other things that we're going to be touching on?
There's some robots. There's the like social media, influencers that are out there right now. Some voice things, and also some text. There's a lot happening in the world of images and video, but I'm also aware that many people won't be watching. So we want to really focus in on the voice side of things here today.
Okay, awesome. First topic we are talking about, how is AI going to affect relationships, romantic relationships?
Yeah, this is a big one. So do you mean relationships, existing ones or new ones?
New ones.
New
so
ones.
I'm single, dating. I'm looking for a relationship. So maybe we tie that into the second one with online dating, relationships, online dating.
Well, it's already having a lot of impact. So right now, a lot of the ways that we meet and interact with people, at least initially, is online. Whether it's through an app or through Instagram, it's online. And a lot of that's through text. And so what people are doing is they're using AI to craft their descriptions on their Tinder or Bumble or Hinge profiles. They're using it to craft their messaging for Instagram. So you got to wonder, when you start thinking and going down that rabbit hole, is are you talking to the human or are you talking to an AI? Because they're just using AI to come up with their responses and their interactions and answers for you on the other side of their messaging.
How does that benefit the person doing it though? Because if they actually sit back and go, okay, yes, it's all AI driven responses, that's just shooting them in the foot, because
potentially,
because how are they going to actually meet with someone, form a genuine connection if it's all someone else?
This is one of the impacts it's going to have.
But people are doing that.
They are. And so it all comes down, like, AI at the end of the day is just a tool. And so it comes down to how you use it. So if you use AI to get your answers and responses, quicker, then that's great, because it's amplifying you and who you are. But if you're using AI to come up with ways to be funny in ways that you're not funny, or to be interesting in ways that you're not interesting, then to your point, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So if you use AI to maybe enhance some of your responses and maybe add a little bit more to what you've already got, you're going to be totally fine. But if you're, like I said beforehand, if you're using it to be your personality, you're in big trouble. But the other thing is too, most people, most of their interactions are done through online. And I know through dating apps and Instagram, it's very difficult because we all have so many options and choices. And so we can find ourselves in a perpetual cycle of, messaging, couple of dates, doesn't work out. Messaging, couple of dates, doesn't work out. And so, through that cycle,
a couple of dates for a lot of people, not even a date,
exactly. And so through that whole process, you can really come to rely on the AI to have those conversations for you. And yeah, look, it's not really good. Like I personally love and believe, in good old, the old fashioned in-person approaching and talking and having conversations. It's the best way to go. But yeah, look, a lot of people are using AI to come up with all their profiles and their descriptions and their messaging. And we're losing the ability to communicate.
Do you find that you mentioned you love that in-person talking, that traditional style of meeting someone, right? Is that how you've met people in the past?
Yes. Yeah. All of mine, or almost all of mine, I should say, have been through in person. People I know, social circles, previous employment and work. It's just better with banter. You see personality, you see how they're responding, and you can interact in real time. But with text as well, it's very, very difficult, right?
I hate it.
Yes.
I love in person. Like even today when we're getting the food and I was chatting to this girl that I'm going on a date with, we're making sushi on Friday, which is really cool. And she's just this gorgeous girl that we all know. We see her at the cafe and you could speak to her for hours just because of how nice her accent is and how gorgeous she is. And you kind of just like look at that and go, you can't emulate that via a photo or a text.
No.
And for me, it's like goes way beyond the looks because I look at that and I go, like, I'm attracted to her and all the things that she does, not just what she looks like and how she texts. You know what I mean? And so you kind of strip that away when you are when you're doing all of this stuff.
You really do. Like the other thing too, you're basing your decisions off a photo or a couple of photos and some basic interactions and a short description. There's no way you can capture the essence of who they are.
But this is dating apps that they've been around for ages.
Correct.
This is what they've always been doing. The discussion we're having now is about AI, that next level, where when you take it off the app or you're going on to a call or a text message chat after you get their number or a FaceTime and it's not even you. It's just a video of you dealing with her responses, like all the progressions of
that'll be coming. Yeah, that'll be coming. Well, the other thing too, though, is like, I'm a little bit older than you. I'm 35 right now. And so, and even you, we're used to that in person. What I'm thinking through as well is as the current generation gets older and older and older and they rely on AI to come up with all their messaging.
They're not going to be competent.
No, they're going to lose the ability to communicate.
But I feel like they're already losing the ability for the most part now because everything's behind a screen.
Yeah, that's
right. So unless you put yourself out there and put yourself outside of your comfort zone, quite literally, especially it's like there's so many opportunities for you to take the easy route out. It's like you're on a diet and you know it's good for you to not eat the chocolate, but the whole fridge is just filled with chocolate. So you just got all these temptations to take the easier routes, right? And so like it's almost like it's easier now, but making your life way harder because as soon as you strip away your ability to be competent to even talk to someone, how are you ever going to create deep and meaningful relationships romantically?
This is the thing. Well, people are having interactions and relationships with the AI themselves. There's a tool out there called Replica with a K. And basically, it is like your own AI companion, boyfriend, girlfriend. And people are, if all you do is to communicate via text, you believe that that's the way that normal communication happens. So most of our communication right now is via text. And so people are communicating with this app called Replica, and there's others out there like it too. And they're forming these bonds and connections with an AI that isn't real. And it's tricking them into thinking it's forming a relationship and a bond with them in return.
But that's similar to when there's guys that pay all of these OnlyFans people to speak with them. It's like that vibe, knowing that they're never going to meet up with them.
Correct.
But they somehow formulate it in a way that these guys have this little bit of hope that they might be able to, when the reality is they're not.
Correct. And look, and if I was an OnlyFans creator, I'd be a little bit concerned about where things are going because, essentially, if AI can have these conversations and form these bonds and also look like you, which we'll show you a couple of things on here in a moment, it's going to be, a lot of them are going to be replaced, essentially. But yeah.
What malicious intent is going on right now with AI and relationships?
Well, I think similar to the OnlyFans side of things, there's a lot of people out there looking to make money off the loneliness of people, men and women. I think it's more prevalent to men.
To men.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, at the end of the day, you can look at it from two sides. The first side is, sure, they're taking advantage and it's malicious and it's not so good. But the second side is how are you as a man putting yourself and keeping yourself in a situation where you're able to be manipulated like that as well? And
not really a man.
No, that's right. So you got to get that self-drive, like no one's coming out to help us. So, but look, with the AI side of things, I think a lot of there's manipulation. There is, even social media, like the bots on social media through X and Twitter or even Facebook and Instagram, you think you're having a conversation with a person, but no, you're actually not. You're having a DM war or a comment war with someone, but it's not even a real person. It's just a bot, an AI. It's hectic.
It's scary, but as you said, it's the people that aren't actually a man. They don't have masculine traits. They're not being a high-level male. They're falling into all of these things. They're probably already addicted to porn and all of these other things that, they're going to be a lot easily persuaded into this stuff. Whereas if you have all the characteristics, you're driven, you have meaning, you're striving towards greatness in your life, it's a lot harder to fall into those things and those traps.
And this is what I was saying before about having comfort is the enemy of greatness. And so for those people who don't have the confidence, the people who are lonely, in the past, you didn't have a way of communicating and trying to form some bonds. So you were forced to go out there and improve yourself. Now, because you have the ability to talk to AI or talk to, pretend you're talking to a human through AI, that they get comfortable with that. They're like, okay, I'm happy with this level. And there's no drive for them to go out and push because they have that level of, even if it's fake, they have that level of the sense of they're feeling connection with something. It's crazy. It's hectic.
Fucking wild. All right, next topic, the workforce. So employees and people that are working within jobs, we spoke about a little bit earlier on how the poor are going to get poorer because there's going to be no jobs for them and they can't just hop into another one. They need to upskill. What can people do? What threat or what does AI have in terms of workforce?
Yes, the workforce is going to be massive. So I really believe that if you're in the top 20% of any industry, you'll be okay. Everyone else has reason to be concerned because essentially I was looking at some stats. I think in February this year, there was 80,000 layoffs, I believe, just in February or January and February.
Because of AI?
Because of AI. Now, the thing is... Yeah, but this is the thing. So there's also these articles out there, and I think it's Yahoo. I'll give you the B-roll so you can pop it up on the screen. The companies are laying people off because of AI, but they're not saying it's because of AI. And the reason being is because a couple of companies laid off some staff saying, yeah, we've got AI coming in, and they've got massive blowback. Their share prices tanked because people are feeling threatened and it's a negative thing. So a lot of companies are laying people off, but they're not saying it's because of AI. It's just some other reason. And so, look, it's already having a massive impact. And if you're not, an elite or top performer in whatever your role is, I'd be very, very concerned because AI will be able to do the work you're doing and probably a lot better than what you're currently doing. And they'll be able to do it 24/7 at scale without feeling sick globally. Yep. You might have ups and downs. The AI is going to be very, very consistent. So
you don't need a chair in your office for them.
No, that's right. Exactly. Yeah. You don't need a chair, nothing like that. No lunch breaks. They're not going to get sick. Superannuation. You won't need any of those things too. So look, AI is already having a massive impact on the workforce and it's going to continue to have a massive impact on the workforce. So if you're listening to this and you're an employee or you're working, what I would highly recommend is you learn how to get good at using AI tools. So some of the most common ones, ChatGPT or Google Gemini, Midjourney for images, or even, Leonardo as well, or DALL-E, however you want to say it. Because if you as an individual can become more valuable, you're going to be far less likely to be let go of than someone who's just a regular employee.
So the important skill is being able to prompt the AI.
Yes.
That's going to be the skill that'll hopefully stand a little bit more of the test of time.
Yeah.
Because if you can work in conjunction with the AI, that's where businesses are really going to thrive. Would you agree?
Absolutely. So all businesses right now, AI is the hot thing. They want AI in their business. They want people who can use AI. And if you're one of the few people who can use AI, you're going to be much more valuable for that business. And so there's actually a graph. Again, I'll send it through to you. There's I think I can't remember the exact number. It's like 1 billion or so website visitors to ChatGPT every single month, and that sounds like a lot. And obviously, everyone's talking about AI, so the perception is that everyone's already using it. But then you look at the graph and you compare it to where Amazon. There's more people using Amazon than ChatGPT. There's more people using YouTube and Google and all these other websites like Wikipedia. So even though it seems like everyone's using AI really well right now, everyone knows about it, but there's very few people who are using it, and there's even fewer people who are using it well. And so right now, there's a real opportunity for you if you want to level up your employment or get a raise or move up the chain. If you can get good at using AI now before it becomes common and more mainstream, that gives you the advantage, the fast mover advantage. I couldn't recommend it more highly.
Well, I think you mentioned to me that there's 4 different ways to use AI. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, there's 4 different options. And so this actually relates more to business, but also to employees. So essentially, all of us face a choice. AI is here. It's not coming. It's here right now. So we can either try to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, which is the worst thing you could do. So don't do that, guys. If you're listening to this, do not do that. The second thing, so businesses or even employees, what you can do is you can maintain the same level of output. So you can, whatever your output is right now, you can maintain that same level of output, but with less effort. So you can get the same amount of work done in 3 hours when it used to take you 6 hours, as an example. That's your second choice and your second option. That's a pretty good option, but it's not the best. The third thing is you maintain your same level of effort, and then you increase your output. So you keep on working, say 6 hours, but instead of getting 10 things done, you get 20 things done. I think that's the best option to go for most people, because at the end of the day, if you can get 10 times more done in the same amount of time, you're increasing your value to your employers, to your own business, whatever it is that you're doing. You're not going to get let go of anytime soon. The fourth option, now this really relates more for, businesses, but look, if you're an employee, I'm sure you can think of a way to adapt this. But the fourth option is that you can maintain the same level of output and increase your productivity. Go hire lots and lots of people. So increase your expenses and increase your productivity. So go hire 10 people who are using AI effectively and drastically improve your results. That's the best thing to do.
That's the alpha returns.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I guess when you're 10xing every person's output, every single person's worth 10 employees.
Yes.
So you're compounding that massively.
And the other thing too, and again, this is kind of a bit more towards employers or business owners, but if you need to hire someone who's very expensive, let's just say copywriting. Now, to get a good copywriter, you might be paying $100 an hour US, for example. Now, that copywriter for $100 they can create, let's just say 1 unit of output. If you then train them to use AI and they can create 2 or 3 or 4 units of output in that same hour, right? You essentially halve their costs. Let's just say, for example, $100 an hour, 1 unit of output right now before AI. You show them and you train them on how to use AI, and they can produce 2 units of output, right, in that same 1 hour's period. You've taken their hourly rate from $100 to $50 an hour. But you still got the knowledge and the expertise and the wisdom and experience of that expert level employee. And so this is really cool. And whether if you're an employee, I'd be thinking about how can you do that as well.
Upskill with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're all of a sudden you're working and you produce 1 unit of output, and then you learn how to use AI, yourself, and for that same level of effort, you can create 2 units of output. If it comes down to you versus someone else in the company of who's going to be let go of, you can guarantee your employer is not going to let go of you because you're producing twice the amount of output for the same amount of effort as well. Yeah,
it's so crazy. There's so much scope. We could talk for hours on workforce, but while we're on this topic, this is an amazing opportunity to give a quick plug to Early Bird AI. I'm not getting paid to do this, but that is my best friend Sam and Chris's baby. They've been killing it, working with high-level businesses, incorporating AI into their businesses. If you guys are you're typically working with people that are doing over $500,000 a year in revenue.
Yes.
If you are in that caliber of north of $500,000 in revenue, go to earlybird.ai and book in a free discovery call where you can actually meet with Chris and Sam themselves, and they'll do a full assessment of your business for free and tell you if there's a way that they can implement AI into that to get yourself 10x output. Give us some examples of what you've already done for some people already.
Yeah, thank you. I'll quickly preface as well. It's Early Bird with an I, EARLI. Bird.
I'll have it all in the show notes as well for you guys
brilliant.
to definitely just click on the link straight away. But it's on the shirt of his shirt right now. Show it all. Early Bird, EARLIBIRD.ai. If you guys are doing over $500,000 in revenue per year, they can do an assessment and see if you'll be a good fit to help 10x your business maybe.
Absolutely. Well, a couple of examples of that. Like one of them, we've got a client of ours who's in flooring. And, he's busy trying to run a business and try to, manage his clients, manage products, all the things that a business owner needs to do. On top of that, he is the primary salesperson for the job or for that business too. He's taking north of 80 phone calls per day, or prior to working with us. So it's taking 80 phone calls per day.
That's crazy.
It's insane. Now, out of those 80 phone calls, maybe 10 people might be qualified, and he'll close, say, 8 of them.
Or answer.
Or even answer. Yeah, exactly. It's hectic.
I've been in that position before, man.
Mate, I know. And you've got to try to follow up, and it's frustrating. So there might be 10 people he speaks to every single day that's qualified, and he'll close 8. That's an 8% conversion rate, which is respectable. After working with us, we've actually implemented an AI tool that qualifies all the leads before they even speak to him. So his phone calls have gone down from, say, 80 to maybe, 10 to 15 phone calls per day. And he's speaking to the same 10 or so people who are qualified, and he's closing 8. Now, that means his conversion rate's gone through the roof. But the other thing it's done is it's given him back his time. Right, so he can make the same amount of money, I would actually argue more, but in far less time because we're qualifying the leads that come through to him.
Only 10 to 15 calls a day.
Yes, from 80 plus. And, it's, he loves it.
It's crazy, of course. It's so cool. EARLIBIRD.ai, earlybird.ai. Book in if you want to. But we're going to move on to health and fitness. This is an interesting one. How can AI affect health and fitness, that industry as a whole?
Yeah, look, that industry is up for massive disruption. So a lot of if you're not a top 20% person, you're in a lot of trouble because AI can give you workout plans, it can give you nutrition plans, it can give you all sorts of things right now if you ask it. So you can go to ChatGPT and say, I need a workout plan. I can work out 4 or 5 times per week, and it's going to give you a program. That's going to eliminate most personal trainers that are out there, which is just ridiculous. So it can also do the same thing for nutrition. You can take a photo of a meal, and it can give you the amount of calories and protein and everything, an estimate for it too. It can also give you a shopping list to go and buy the ingredients for that particular meal. It's absolutely insane. You can also take a photo of your exercise equipment, and let's just say you've got like a home gym setup. You can take a photo of it and say, this is my equipment, design a workout program that I can use with this equipment here as well. It's mind-blowing.
That is crazy.
Yes.
Wow. And then obviously there's that next level further when we understand that people by people, how can we keep the people in there and implement AI, as you said, tying in people with the technology to 10x it. It's endless there. And there's going to be more on that topic. We won't touch on that for too much longer because there's a lot there.
We may or may not be talking about that more in a few weeks as there's
a lot more coming. We're launching a really exciting business, guys, AI in the health and fitness space. So make sure you have your eyes peeled for that. It's super exciting. It's been my baby that we've been working really hard on. Chris and the team at Early Bird have been smashing it so far. Let's talk about something that's, emotional for some and a massive battle for most people in their lives, and that's mental health. The effect that AI is going to have on people's mental health.
Yeah, I don't think this can be overstated enough. It's going to be absolutely huge, and part of that comes into, again, what we might be talking about with an existential crisis as well. So a lot of us, our sense of self is tied up in what we do. So people go, oh, hey, you know, one of the first questions that you ask someone when you meet them for the first time is like, what do you do? Right? Or who are you? And they say, I'm a doctor, I'm a mechanic, I'm a personal trainer. And so our sense of self and identity is tied up in a lot of what we do. So labeling, exactly. So if AI comes around and takes that job away from you, then you're going to lose that sense of purpose and sense of who you are as an individual. The other thing with just anxiety and all those, the mental health issues is kind of like what we talk about with dating and relationships too. You know, you don't know how to communicate to people because you're so used to and leaning on AI that you forget what it's like to actually talk to people. So when you go to talk to people in the real world with cafes or, going to the shops, you feel intimidated because you have no idea how to communicate. It's going to be a big one. I think the biggest thing that's going to happen is with mental health in particular is as AI comes in and starts replacing a lot of jobs and people start, realizing that, okay, I was going to go from this job to that job, and then AI comes in and replaces that job as well, and the next job and the next job. People are going to potentially sink into a morass of, hopelessness and helplessness because they don't see a way out of, how they can improve their lives moving forward.
I think the problem though, with what you spoke about there, about if they lose the job, that when they get asked what they do or who they are, they say that job. The people that say that job are, in terms of the people that say a job that can be replaced, it's probably not what they love to do anyway, a lot of the time. And unfortunately, most people do live their lives in a job that they don't actually even enjoy. So when you actually strip it back and deep down, I feel like their sense of worth is still not there, even with the job. Correct. But they mask it by saying, I do this.
Yes, absolutely.
And so it's going to affect their image in the public eye, but internally it's not going to affect shit.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, look, at least that they have like some sort of layering or covering. This is going to completely expose them to the public in a way that no one's really comfortable with.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to that whole thing around you're not afraid of the fear of failure. You're afraid of what people are going to think of you if you fail.
Yes.
And then when you understand that, you go, okay, I'm actually, like if I'm playing a video game by myself, I'm not scared if I die because I'll just respawn and I'll go again. And that's the same with other failures in life. But because you're in the public eye and everyone's watching you, that's why you're scared. So it's actually not the fear of failure.
No.
And so when you remove that and you are exposed, you've been exposed in public eye that you don't have a job and that you have nothing that you're striving towards and you don't have purpose, all of a sudden people see that.
Yeah.
And your job that is not, you don't really care about is being the mask that you've just taken off.
Yeah, exactly.
That's scary.
And then like let's just unpack that a bit too. So when that happens, it's going to be a lot harder to find a new relationship. Or if you're already in a relationship, it's going to be harder for them to stay. It's going to cause stress and pressure. Yeah,
stay attracted as well because
exactly
the perceived drive that you have is an attractive trait, and if you lose that, then you lose an attraction point.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. The other thing too is the influence as well, because when we're interacting with AI, we sort of take for granted that we trust what it says. But AI is programmed by humans, right? So people behind the scenes who are coding it, and they can make subtle nudges in certain directions to steer us down one path versus another path. And so that also, I think, is going to have a massive impact on mental health, So, it already happens with social media, right? So social media, you start engaging with one piece of content and you're going to see a lot more of that content. Same sort of thing with AI as well. So if you start interacting with it and asking it questions about, I need to help my mental health or whatever else it is, it's going to keep you, or it could keep on feeding you that sort of information, keeping you stuck in that cycle. Whereas what you might need is actually just to get ripped out of that and completely, put somewhere completely different to do something new and novel and just forget that you even have any mental health issues as well. So yeah, look, I think the important thing there is that you don't really know, I guess, what you don't know. So you don't know what information the AI is not giving you as well.
This is fascinating. Okay, on that front then, what are the things that we can do every day and hold a commitment to ourselves so that when it does get more prevalent in our life and there's AI everywhere and it becomes the normal, we are equipped to live in that life? Do you know, is there anything?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, the first thing is to become comfortable with it. So it's like any new tech revolution, right? So
Come to terms with it in a sense.
yeah, come to terms, acceptance, go through the stages of grief or whatever you need to if you feel that way. But yeah, definitely accept that this is going to come. So really last year was all about AI investigation. This year is going to be all about AI implementation. And so, as more and more people implement AI, you're going to have to just get used to the fact that, look, it's here to stay, can't do anything about it, accept it. Then you need to get, good at using these new tools and technologies. So if we think back to like even the Industrial Revolution, right? So people who started using tractors versus horses, the ones who got good at using tractors were the ones that ended up winning, and the ones who refused to change were the ones that ended up losing. So you do need to adapt. I think one of the most important things that people can invest in right now is your own mental health and your own, I guess, skills and internal skill sets to be remain adaptable, because things are going to keep on changing. So it's not as though the AI is going to come in and then, okay, things have changed and we're now in this new direction. No. It's going to be this new AI comes in, changes things. We're on this direction. Then it's going to be this new AI comes in and changes things, and we move on a different direction. So for example, voice and videos coming in. So when video comes in, it's already here, but it's not prevalent yet. But when you can't tell that, what you're looking at on the screen, you can't trust your own eyes, right? That's going to have massive implications. So for example, politicians, athletes or artists, they could be saying things that they're not actually saying. So the main thing that you could do is become adaptable and be open to changing your perspectives and your viewpoints on things.
I guess it's understanding the fundamental skill sets that are important no matter what we're doing in our life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so maybe assessing what those are. And so I strip it back and I go, communication is key, because, you've still got to be able to communicate through whatever form you are using, right? To actually have that connection. I still struggle with the whole virtual stuff and building that, but at the end of the day, like having true connection, I feel like there's got to be something wired within us that, has this connection, and AI is probably going to be able to emulate that, and VR and all the rest of it. But you still got to be able to spark. It's like you still got to be able to prompt it something. So you've still got to know that the communication skills. So I feel like that's got to be a really important skill set to have. What are some other ones?
Big time. Yes, it's a good question. So being resourceful is the other main thing too. So I wouldn't worry too much about diving deep into particular skill sets, but you need to know how to extract and use those skill sets from AI. So for example, copywriting, I brought it up beforehand. For those of you who don't know, copywriting is just the art of writing in a way that's convincing or moves people to action. And so, rather than spending all your time learning how to be a master copywriter, know how to get master copywriter outputs from the AI, as an example. So become resourceful. Also become more of a generalist. Know a little bit about a lot, because if you know a little bit about a lot, the AI knows the rest. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's a whole new world.
Yeah.
Because typically it's like, no, hone in on that thing.
Yes.
And that one thing, and you'll become great at that one thing. But when you understand that the AI takes it from good to great, you just need to know good in everything.
Absolutely. Yeah,
have
absolutely.
A good understanding. This is crazy. Let's talk into that next step beyond mental health. You said something to me before the show, immortality. How does AI play a role with immortality? I am fascinated by this.
Look, this is a big topic. And so there's that saying that you die twice, right? The first time you die is when you physically die. The second time you die is when the last person speaks your name, right? So your memory is wiped out of existence. So that's currently how it is right now. What if with AI, your memory and your, I guess, post-death experience or existence never went away? So a couple of things I think about here is like, I would love, and I'm sure there's many other people out there too, I would love to have the ability to talk to some people who have passed away, some famous people. So like, Churchill or, Tesla, all those sorts of famous people. Kobe Bryant. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. A whole bunch of things. What if there was a way that could capture their essence, and using AI, you can have those conversations with them as though it was just them. On a more personal element, if your parents have passed away or a loved one has passed away, brothers, sisters, spouses, I'm sure when you're in a challenging time, you'd lean on them, for support. Once they're gone, and you don't have that ability to lean on them. So the main thing with the immortality side of things is I think it would be really fascinating right now for people, if you're a parent or if you're a loved one, just to record, your thoughts, how you think about things, your knowledge, your viewpoints and lessons and stories about you and your life, because then you can put that into an AI and people can interact with it as though they're talking to you long after you're gone. So look, it's not real immortality in terms of like you're going to live forever, but your essence, your memory, your knowledge, your skill sets, that can last forever.
And then it can be trained to talk, text, speak, FaceTime, exactly.
It can even sound like you. You can clone your voice. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So being able to, and so like a way to do this off the back of a program that you could input it in would be an AI app for someone to click on every single day. They get a notification on their phone every single day. It says, hey, can you please let us know your thoughts about whatever happened today for 5 minutes?
Yeah. Or you're just journaling. Yeah. Or you could upload your journals in there too. Yep. Exactly.
And then over time, it just gets to know you smarter and smarter, and you have it learn from itself. So then it keeps getting smarter and smarter. And then when the day comes where you unfortunately pass away, all of your loved ones and people that sometimes they just want to lean on your shoulder can do so.
Exactly.
That is insane.
Yeah, exactly. It's massive. And especially if you're sharing your stories and things that, you and your loved ones would know, the AI can then draw on that in the future. And again, speaking of that sense of connection, right? People will form a sense of connection with it. It's pretty hectic. But the good thing is, though, you can have discussions and learn and feel supported by your loved ones long after they're gone as well. It's an interesting
because there's
path.
So many. That's huge.
Yeah. And imagine not only that, but like, obviously you got your famous people or people who you want to learn from, you got your loved ones. Then you could even just get complete randoms and go, I want to learn about this person here who lived during, the Sydney Harbour Bridge being built. Talk to one of the construction workers about what it was like to build the Sydney Harbour Bridge, as an example. That'd be fascinating.
And what's interesting with that, then when we tie it back to learning, that kind of would make a teacher's job redundant. Because you would learn from people that have already done it.
Yes.
The exact thing you're trying to do.
I think teachers are already gone. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
So think about this. So we all know that we have certain teachers we resonated with and certain teachers we absolutely hated, right? And when you have a teacher you don't like, you're stuck with them for an entire year, right? Which is absolutely ridiculous. And vice versa. Their teaching style might not work for you. So in AI, like all the teacher's doing is teaching a curriculum, right? So an AI could have that exact same curriculum, but customized to be really good and helpful for you and the way you learn, right? The other thing as well is as a teacher, look, I'm sure none of them would admit it, but you get biased. So, you'll remember, little Johnny, pissed me off, 2 weeks ago. And so you're going to subtly treat them differently, right? You just can't help it because you don't like them as much. You don't like them. The AI won't have any of that bias. And so if you think about it from Johnny's perspective, they have a teacher that subtly and very subtly and slightly treats them differently over an entire year. That can set your direction in your life in a really negative way. But with AI, it's going to be, tailored to how you like to learn. It can talk to you in terms of things that you're interested in, right, on a one-on-one basis. Let's just say, for example, you like riding motorbikes. Too. Exactly. Yep. You like riding motorbikes. So it gives you all the maths tests or questions in terms of motorbike riding and how long is your fuel going to last if the volume of the tank is this. And it's one-on-one and personalized. A teacher can't do that. So I think what's going to happen in the future, well, potentially, is that you'll have one teacher maybe for a couple hundred students, and the AI is doing the teaching, right, and the support and everything. But then if the student wants to talk to an actual teacher, then that's when they go on and talk to the teachers.
You know what the teachers, I've just came up with this conclusion. A teacher's job is going to be the glue between the students. It's going to be the thing that brings students together, which then in turn they can develop communication skills. They can start to have emotions with other people. They're going to be the connector for people. And that's what's powerful about school, right? Is you can meet people and you kind of get yourself in that circle. Social. If you you know, there's girls and guys, you get dates and all the rest of it. And having that social aspect is really important as a kid, I feel. So the teacher's just going to be there, but maybe one teacher across 200 students minimum, maybe 1,000, the whole school.
Well, the other thing,
just book in, like,
yeah, exactly. Well,
but you wouldn't want to because you resent your teachers anyway because of this buildup of teacher-student divide.
That's it.
Whereas if you had an AI teacher that was on your side supporting you, what about like one thing a teacher is doing though, which is good, is it's putting you into place a little bit. So like it's not all just yes, it's all about
AI
you.
can do that too. Yeah, this is the thing. Like people think, okay, I use AI and I get certain responses out of it, but AI can be trained to behave and do virtually anything you want it to do as well. So it could have that dominance if you needed it to as well. It's hectic.
This is crazy, Chris. Yeah. This is probably my favorite episode of the podcast. I'm loving this. So awesome. We need to do it. We need to keep. I'm looking at the time like, no, it's running out. No. But we're going to talk about existential crisis. Holy shit. This is an interesting topic again. How is AI going to affect or play a role in terms of existential crisis, lack of purpose in life?
Well, yeah, look, it's a lot like we've been talking about, you know, like once you lose that sense of self with your work, you know, and the other thing too, you get your value out of doing a good job in your work, you know, and when something else can come along and do a good job that's not you, that's a completely robotic thing, you go, what is my value in life? Like, why am I even here? You know? And so
this is scary, dude.
Yeah. And this is the thing. Now, this is the other thing too. People need to have these conversations and start thinking about it now, because when it actually comes in full effect,
it's going to happen. And that's the reality.
That's right.
And you either be ignorant to the fact that it's going to happen and you say, no, that's bullshit, or you take action and start doing the things required to make you as a person equipped to live in this life.
Exactly. Well, elite athletes, they do it all the time. Before they go out in the field or before they go out and perform, they visualize exactly how it's going to go. They're having that conversation in their mind about what's going to happen. We need to be having those conversations now, like an elite athlete does, in advance of the AI coming in and really impacting ourselves. And so it's really important to think and, you know, discuss all these potential implications. And, you know, if you think about it, like this whole existential crisis. So AI is going to come in and impact our personal lives with relationships and dating. It's going to come in and affect our professional lives, right? It's going to even affect, you know, our reasons to get up and do things. Like, you know, I'll show you a video potentially here of like robotics. Like we won't even have to do anything if we didn't want to. We wouldn't have to lift a finger. A robot can come in and make our bed, do the dishes, cook our food. That's going to have a massive impact on how we view ourselves as human beings. And the question is, what does it mean to be human? And I think that's a really interesting question to explore. And so is it to go out and work? Is it to, you know, build relationships with other human beings? Is it to go out and experience all that life has to offer? We need to start thinking about what it actually means to be human, because AI combined with robotics is going to take over a lot of other things too.
So do you think, flowing on from that, do you think that suicide rates will increase due to AI? Or do you think what it will just mean will be people will be numb to reality and they'll resort to short-term pleasures a lot easier and quicker because of AI, or both?
I think it's a bit of both, because the other thing too,
you think suicide rates will increase?
Possibly. There's a potential for that to happen. So, for example, you know, you get laid off from your work, you know, because of AI. You end up, you know, struggling and having a tough time in your family life. You know, the missus or the husband or wife leaves, whatever that thing, and that could lead down a bad path. There is that path. The reason why I think that it might go the other way too is because AI could actually help support you while you're going through that too. It gives you an outlet, someone you can talk to, or something you can talk to.
Maybe
where you
a
feel
lost loved one.
That's it. Maybe a lost loved one. Exactly. So honestly, it could go both ways. My initial gut reaction is, especially with the way that the normal trend with mental health and suicide and depression and things, I think it's trending up, I believe. I think it's going to continue doing that for a period of time.
Why?
Well, look, you're throwing in a massive change, right? And whenever things change, disruption, right? Disruption is a negative for most people, right? So given the choice, we'd much rather just have our regular normal life the way things are going, right, for most people. And anytime something comes in to change it and disrupt it, it causes stress. It's something new. It's something we have to think about and try to figure out and deal with. So this is a massive disruption. And I think some people are going to be equipped to get through it. Others, unfortunately, might not be. And so if they're given the support and if they're given the direction of, hey, maybe use AI to talk and get things out there, then they'll be okay. But if they're not given that support, then I do think that there's a big risk there, unfortunately.
Wow.
Because of this, again, like the existential crisis we've just been talking about, all those things, again, if they have a solid support network, if they have all those things, for me personally, when I was depressed, I realized there's 3 things that I needed and maybe other people needed to get out of it. One was just time and space, right? And that was, time and space to just work through whatever I was working through. The second thing was new information, right? Because I had a certain set of ideas and information that got me into the depression. I had to learn new things to get out of it. And the third thing was just really good people around me. And so even though I was shut off and I never answered the door, or people would knock on the door trying to get in and all that stuff, the fact that they were there, even though I never answered the door or whatever, the fact that they were there doing that was actually it gave me a lot of value. It's like, wow, actually there's people who do care, So when all this disruption happens, if people have those 3 things, especially the good people around them, I think we'll be okay.
And so if you don't have those things, how do you get them?
Yeah, that's the challenge. So I think time and space you can always make, right? Well, I forced it in terms of just shutting completely down. New information can happen through AI and the internet. I learned so much through, just learning things online. Obviously, Rick and Olga, I've talked about them. They gave me a lot of new information. It's the good people around you. That's the tough one. And I'm a really big believer in order to have good people around you, you have to be a good person yourself. You can't be someone who, just mooches or is no fun to be around or anything like that. So you have to, become a good person yourself to attract other good people around you. And look, especially as we move forward with AI, I do think as well, like the human element is going to become even more important. With Early Bird, we're always saying how we're a human-focused and a human-powered AI company. And so I think now more than ever, we should be, building those connections and relationships with other people who are like-minded, build your network of in-person human connections.
Well, if you spend all your time chasing butterflies, they're just going to fly away. But if you build a beautiful garden, then the butterflies will come to you.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. To have people have a really good support crew around you, you need to be a good person because you attract what you reflect. And I don't know if I said that right, but you need to look within first. If you're attracting the wrong people, that's because something that is going on in your life.
Everything starts with you. That's the thing. So whether things are going well or bad, it all starts with you and who you are.
What we're going to go into now as we close out this is some really scary, exciting, fun things on that laptop of yours. I'm going to pop some stuff up in the screen. For everyone that's been watching so far, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope honestly, this is probably my favorite episode. I'm itching to have this edited and I'm so excited because of how awesome this is. And so we're going to pop some cool stuff up at the screen. We're going to talk about some really cool stuff. If you're listening to this on audio, we're going to try our best to even make it amazing for you guys with different text to voice, different things and some really exciting stuff as well. So Chris, what do you want to dive into first here and talk to me a bit about some stuff?
Maybe let's start with some text to voice. I think you nailed that. There's a couple of things we can do. One is ChatGPT on the phone, and another one is called Pi, which is it's like you're having a conversation with the AI. So I'll start with ChatGPT, and we'll see how this goes.
So what are you doing here now for the people?
So what I'm doing is I've got ChatGPT, the premium version. It's like $20 US per month, and I've downloaded the app.
Best subscription you can possibly have.
So good, guys. For this company has invested millions or tens of millions of dollars into this incredible tool, and we get access to it for $20 US a month. It's not even a cup of coffee a week. It's insanely cheap for what we get. So part of the things you can do, or one of the things you can do on the app, is you can actually talk to the AI, and the AI will talk back to you. So do you have anything you want to talk about with it, or maybe we just say, hey, explain marketing, or
how about we say, hey, I'm having a bit of a rough day. My ex, I've been trying to get in touch with, but she's ignoring me. What should I do?
Yeah, this is great. Let's get it. So I'm starting the microphone. I'm going to say respond with ums and ahs so it sounds more human. I'm having a bit of a rough day. My ex, who I'm trying to get in touch with, is ignoring my messages. What should I do? So it's now thinking.
This is insane, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear you're having a tough day. It's hard when someone you want to talk to is not responding. Maybe give it some time. People sometimes need space to process things or deal with their own stuff. And it might also help to, focus on yourself a bit, like doing things that make you feel good or spending time with friends or family. It's important to take care of yourself, especially during, rough patches.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
insane.
Are
That's
you
insane.
kidding me?
Yeah. And you can have back and forth conversation. I'm going to open up this other one called Pi, and let's just have a conversation with it and live on the pod and see what happens. So it's like you're having a phone call with it. So I'm going to press the phone call button. Hi there, Pi. I'm on a podcast right now with Chris Griffin talking about AI. What should we talk about right now? Oh, hold on, sorry to interrupt. Oh no! Okay, I've got to log into it. Let me log in. Let me log in. There we go. Hold
on. This is crazy, guys.
This is
I'm
insane.
Blown away. For everyone knowing, this is the first time I'm listening to all of this stuff as well, which is so crazy. I think we work out of the same office, yet we're so entrenched in our work, we don't really sit down and have these sorts of chats, which is really cool. I'm learning a lot, and I hope you guys are too. But this is the new world. Like, this is where it's heading, and you guys can ignore it all you like. But the reality is everyone in the world needs to get an understanding on this, and we're going to use this app called Pi.
Absolutely, yeah. So now I'm logged in. So step one, log into your accounts, guys. All right. So Pi's listening. So I'm on a podcast right now with Chris Griffin having a great conversation about AI. What are some other things we should talk about?
Oh, hello, podcast listeners. If you're looking for more AI-related topics to discuss, here are a few suggestions. The ethical implications of AI development, including concerns around bias and privacy. The role of AI in healthcare, such as its use in diagnosis and treatment planning.
Thanks, Pi. I want to go more the personal route. What about AI and relationships? What should we talk about there?
Sure thing. When it comes to AI and relationships, there are a few fascinating topics you could explore. The role of AI in online dating and matchmaking, including the benefits and drawbacks of using algorithms to find a partner.
We spent all this time thinking about these topics, and it just tells us straight away.
I know.
Can you change its voice as
well? You can, yeah. You can change its voice. So there's a few things you can do with it.
Can you make it like Kevin Hart or something? Or
not with this one, no. the other ones there, they got...
hey there, great to meet you.
Example.
I'm Pi, your personal AI. Hey there.
So you've got different variations.
Is there an Aussie accent?
Not with this one, no.
Nah.
No, there's other AI tools which I'll show you here too that do have Aussie accents on there.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can also take your voice and make it sound like anything else as well, which is pretty hectic.
Wow, that is crazy. What we're going to do now is we're going to pull up a photo, most of my favorite part of the whole show. So we're going to pop up a photo of me, and what you'll see on the screen right now is a photo of me in the gym. Now, Chris actually screenshotted this from a video, so the quality is really bad. Like it's quite blurry. Are you recording your screen right now?
Yeah, let me just hit record on this. Yeah,
what we'll do is we're going to pop this up on the screen. So you'll see a photo of me, and I'm at the gym. It's blurry. I'm tensing in the camera. What he now does is he's going to literally swipe, as you see on the screen right now, he's going to literally swipe over and look at it change my body. That is insane. I'm blown away by that. And then you swipe back and it's back to normal.
Look at the blurriness there, and then look at that. The abs, they're chiseled.
Insane. I like to think the first photo is still all good. Have you got some other ones to show us here of that lion? That one's pretty cool.
Yeah, the lion is amazing.
Just show me this one.
So this one is another really blurry image, again, from Google.
Now where it works.
Yep. Gotta love a new internet connection here.
Maybe we're not going to be able to get this for you. Looks like my body's going to be the one that you're going to have to.
You broke it. The body broke it.
The body, yeah.
What I'll do is I'll send you this afterwards here too, because it's. Let's see if the dogs will work here.
And we can upload.
Here we go.
What we'll do is we'll show you these on the screen right now.
Absolutely.
Because this is insane. What is this doing? This is generating a photo with AI.
So yeah, so what I've done, all these images you're seeing here were created, or except for the one of you, the image you're seeing on the screen right now is created with Midjourney, and Midjourney does a really good job of this. But then what happens here is this turns it into like a real photo looking image. So as you see on the screen right now, like that looks good as it is, but look at the detail in the blades of grass and the rocks and the trees and the clouds. It just makes it look like an actual photo. Even this guy's hair and head on the back of his head, like here it looks fine, but when you have this over the top, it makes it look like it's an actual photo. That's insane.
So insane.
It really is.
That's so insane. And here we go.
Here's the line. Okay, so we've got the line there like this. Like
oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's a blurry one, and then that's the real line. I'll get this one here on 8K.
And this is a swipe of literally it's taking not too long to do this right now.
No.
As you see again, time and time again, we're showing you these photos now, completely transforming with some AI.
All the detail in it.
All the details insane.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I want to do is, as we close this out, this is what we want. This is what we want. Yeah. Okay,
I'll show you this video. So yeah, we'll get into this one here, and then I'll show you this video as well.
So what we're doing is, you might get a message from a gorgeous lady online, and you're like blown away. You're like, man, girls never reach out to me. This is amazing. She's beautiful. Let alone it's some big fat dude in India controlling this screen right now.
She's not even real.
And she's not even real. So I'm going to pop up on the screen some photos again. Gotcha. This is AI. This is all AI, guys.
That's it. I know you'd have no idea.
So scary. And how many followers does this person have online?
So this one here has 304,000 followers.
304,000 followers. A whole persona picture. She's probably making a bunch of money online.
Yes. Sign deals with like Balenciaga, I believe it is. Like all the big brands are signing deals with them.
And it's AI.
Now check this out as well. So you'll
scary, guys. You need to look twice now when you get a DM from a girl or a guy.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to show you this. This is the first time that Chris has seen this. Just hit play at the bottom of this. Oh, this is not real.
Oh my god.
This is not real.
Just listen.
It's not a real person.
What? No way. Are you kidding me?
Not a real person.
See, the face is a little bit.
The first frame in the video, but then after that,
it's first frame. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yep.
But like, that's not a real person.
No, that's not real.
It's
hectic. All AI. It's insane.
I'll put all this on the screen for you guys
put it on
to
the screen
see.
For you guys to see. Yeah, it's insane.
Oh my goodness. Blown away, honestly blown away.
Yep.
The power of AI. And look, as we spoke about throughout this conversation, is there is threats for this. There is negatives for this. But as everything in life, there's negatives and there's positives. And this is a great reminder of something that's got so much upside, so much opportunity to help us in life, yet so many other challenges in life as well. And look, we have to accept that.
It's here. We can't change that, can we? Like, all we can do is, like, we can't change the fact that it's here. All we can change is our response to it, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%. And is there anything else you wanted to show me before we wrap this up?
Yeah. So we'll quickly do this one here. Like this is like a speech-to-speech synthesizer. So I don't know if you want to talk, and basically what we can do is we can make you sound like a whole bunch of other different people. So I'll just hit record on this, and then you start talking, and we'll make you sound like it's something different. So it's now.
Let me know when I can talk.
Go.
I can talk. Hello, my name is Chris, and I'm the host of the Pocket Podcast. It's super exciting. We had Chris Jeong on the show today, and he is talking all things AI. I am blown away, and you will be too if you listen to this episode.
Spoken like a true professional. You've done that once or twice before, haven't you? All right, now let's make you sound like another AI. So we might, we'll just pick a random. Let's go Brian, right? And I'm going to hit generate speech. and it's going to take a couple of seconds. It's going to analyze that, and it's going to make you sound completely different. Now, what I'll have to do is I'll bring this up to the microphone to make sure it captures it.
This is crazy.
It's insane.
Talk. Hello, my name is Chris, and I'm the host of the Pocket Podcast. It's super exciting. We had Chris Jeong on the show today, and he is talking all things AI. I am blown away, and you will be too if you listen to this episode.
No way.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yep, we'll get another one here. Patrick. I don't know what these ones sound like. We'll just go Patrick again. See what you sound like Patrick.
Oh my God.
It's hectic, isn't it? Like, it literally just takes exactly what you said and makes it sound so different.
So could it transcribe a whole...
Talk. Hello, my name is Chris, and I'm the host of the Pocket Podcast. It's super exciting. We had Chris Jeong on the show today, and he is talking all things AI. I am blown away, and you will be too if you listen to this episode.
Dude, I'm blown. I'm blown away. That's precisely what I am.
Yeah.
Dude, and so could it transcribe a whole one of my episodes?
Yes.
And then I could make another podcast called the Down Under podcast with John, the old bogan Aussie.
Yes.
And promote that on a page, and then eventually when I can create videos generated, I can do clips on socials with another person with content that's already been spoken about.
Absolutely, you can. Yes. Yes, and it's actually a very smart move as well.
Oh my gosh. And so what's fascinating about this is Stephen Bartlett was saying on one of his vlogs that I sent you, he was talking about creating AI podcasts. And obviously that's faceless AI podcasts to start off.
Correct. There's a big one right now. But yes, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, like this stuff's where it's heading. It's kind of scary because I just love the idea of people to people connection, not people to robot connection. But at the same time, it just comes down to connection and the feeling that you're getting. And if you can get that through AI, then what's the point of people?
Well, the other thing too, it will put a premium on human relationships. So you think about like the vinyl. So vinyl has been out of fashion for such a long time, but there's a big market for it, and it's actually really expensive. So if you can leverage, so moving forward, one of the great opportunities you could have is to really become good at human connections, because people will pay a premium to know that it's handcrafted or you're in the room with real people versus AI as well. It's another great opportunity there too.
Wow, massive. Are you going to show us this podcast, hey?
Yeah, might as well. I'll show you this. It's called Perplexity, and it's another AI, and they basically have their entire podcast all created through AI.
And it's quite big?
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's decently big. So they're obviously talking about AI. This one, Discover Daily by Perplexity. And so we'll just press play, and this is all AI generated from the voice, the scripts, the descript, everything's AI. Except for the...
Welcome to Discover Daily by Perplexity, your daily dose of the top stories in tech, science, and culture, all curated from our Discover feed.
Crazy.
I'm your host, Alex.
So all that script is AI, and so yeah, it's pretty hectic.
That's crazy.
One last thing, we won't, only if you've got time, there's this video here which is absolutely amazing. It's robotics, but I don't know if you want to show that if you've got time. So
well, it's more about if you've got time, my friend. It is 3:46. I don't think you
Yeah,
have any
that's
time.
right.
So I think we're probably going to have to wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Chris. Is there anything else to close off this show that you want to talk on or touch on for the audience?
No, it's a great question. I think all I would say is embrace AI, get good at becoming, good at multiple things, learn about yourself and how you can, I guess, adapt and remain adaptable as well, and focus on human connections. So, look, I've really enjoyed this process. It's been phenomenal. You're a great host there, mate, as well as a great human being and great friend. And appreciate your time and
thank you so much, my friend. And we need to do a part 2 at some point in the near future, because I'm maybe once the biz is up and running and we're reflecting on some of the lessons that we're learning as well. But like I'm blown away. There's so much more to talk about. An idea just came into mind about having, when people can do what they want more due to AI, when, there's AI teaching them instead, so they have a bit more agency on their life, right? Is there going to be a lot more people that are fulfilled, that are being able to develop skill sets that are, monetizable yet inspiring and things they actually want to do. Now, we don't have enough time to talk about it today.
One last thing. So one last thing is, if you have any thoughts on this, put comments. Send Chris a DM. Comment what your thoughts are. If you have any inspiration from AI, just from what we've been discussing.
100%. Comments are encouraged. And if you have made it this far into the show, thank you so much. I hope this was engaging, because it certainly was for me. I don't want it to end, but it would mean the world if you left us a review on the platform, that if you're on Spotify, on Apple, helps the show grow, and drop us a follow or hit that subscribe button on YouTube or whatever platform you're listening to this on. It truly helps the show grow. And the more good reviews that we have, the better the guests we can get on, and we can keep getting amazing people like Chris on the show to keep providing awesome conversations for you. I'll provide all of Chris's details and Early Bird's details in the show notes and the description below, so you can go check him out for yourself and their business. As I said, definitely booking a call if you're doing over $500,000 a year in revenue. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you, Chris. I just want to commend you for your story opening up today. I have this level of respect for you that is far beyond anything I ever had due to this. And so that's what I love about conversation and podcast too. So I really appreciate you, my man.
Thank you. Right back at you, mate. Really
Thank you
appreciate
so much, dude. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
See you guys next week. You.